Hello, Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another podcast here on Fearless Games. I'm Matt the Vet, and today I am joined by...
James Wildcard.
How's it going?
Pretty good, how are you?
Pretty good. It's our second podcast of the year.
Yeah,
that means
strong.
There was one before this one.
That it does.
So, I have been playing StarCraft, and
Indeed.
I am up to the final mission in the epilogue, and holy crap, why do they think that's easy?
It's not the easiest thing, and I'm sure there's people going, oh, it's super easy. It's not the easiest thing, but I found that...
I can't build anything fast enough. I'm like, okay, let me get started. I'll build, 2 troopers, because I have enough minerals for 2 troopers. Watch out, we've got enemy fire coming in, and 50 million Zerg roll in. I'm like, how?
Right, well, your hero unit does help a lot with that. Basically, what I found is, you control, you shoot the spawn, the enemy units. You control the enemy unit stuff and what spawns them as best you can, and go after stuff that comes near you. But if you're good at taking the enemy units down, your allies, if they're being smart that time, will actually do a lot of the work for you.
No, they get mowed over real fast.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough epilogue mission. It took me several goes to get at it.
I even switched to casual, and they're like, please, you think that's going to save you? We're going to make it harder!
No, it definitely does. The first epilogue mission was great, super easy, because you've been playing Protoss this whole campaign, so you're used to it.
Yep.
And then they throw Terran on you in a second, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I've been playing Protoss this whole time.
Jim Raynor? I bought Legacy of the Void to play Protoss.
I'm fine with making use of the different races, but it's just I've been focusing on my Protoss stuff. I have to relearn how to play Terran now.
I don't know what upgrades these guys got. Oh, excuse me.
But
sorry, folks.
But
what the heck was that?
I don't know. I just figured I would interject with something. But the second mission, I'm like, okay, this definitely jumped to a whole new level of difficulty. And then the final epilogue mission is like, holy jeebus. What is this? Because I don't know about the other people out there who play this and are Fearless Gamers who do, but I don't consider myself particularly adept at the game. I'm very much a normal player. Probably,
I'm not even
tier.
A normal player.
I'm probably bottom tier normal. I don't do... when I play multiplayer, I don't do PvP.
And I just got assaulted by a comb.
Nice.
A comb just came out and started beating me up. It was pathetic.
Indeed. But definitely I enjoyed the run of StarCraft Legacy of the Void.
It was very, very good. What I liked about it a lot is how they kind of play it more like a campaign.
Yeah.
Instead of just multiplayer against an AI that has a pseudo story to it, because that's what I felt like the first game was like.
Oh yeah, no, StarCraft 1, the campaign had a cool story, but it was just,
you were just playing a very hard AI.
Yeah, with occasional interior missions, which I was absolutely atrocious at because I couldn't build replacement units.
Yep. But I like this one because...
Oh, here we go again.
Excuse me. I like this because there was enough of the RTSing, but a little bit of elements, there was a little less micromanaging that needed to be done. You didn't need to activate, the Marines' special abilities. They did them automatically. You only had to do some of the certain abilities you had to activate yourself. They made it a little bit easier. Plus, all the extra junk you could do in the game.
Oh yeah, it was
with
definitely
the Spear of Lagoon.
It was definitely really cool, and I did like that a lot of the stuff that could be autocast was autocast because that's what I need, and the different units really catered to a lot of different play styles, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And what I liked about it was, it's like, yeah, this is definitely a storied game because 75% of what you're doing here cannot be done in multiplayer.
Yep. It felt more like a story mode instead of a multiplayer mode.
Yeah, which was cool.
Which we're going to have to start doing co-op now.
Yes, co-op is one of those things where it's fun. I really enjoy it. And then I'll tell you right now, you don't play co-op like you play a normal mission. And it's very campaigny, but like when I played with people who were playing like for the first time or are still relatively new to it, they're building up a base like normal, and it's like, no, you must constantly be on the attack. You don't worry, you defend by blowing up everything. But it's a lot of fun, and there's 2 of each race except Protoss have a third, and my guess is that with the mission packs and stuff, we'll see the addition of a third for the other 2 races.
But it looks like the next one is the story of that ghost chick.
Yeah, Nova, but what I mean is for co-op, she might get introduced as a third Terran commander for co-op.
Possibly.
And then for Zerg, it'll be Stukov.
Stukov!
Because the only thing
I totally forgot about him until the epilogue message.
Yeah, because the only thing they're really missing is a heavy infested presence in co-op, and he's all about the infested Terrans and everything. Yep. So,
Chewie, Tukot.
What?
I just like how it sounds like the probes Protoss sound like they're saying Chewie.
Yeah, I've always loved the probes. They'd be a cool pet.
I also like, because I was showing Elena some of the joke lines.
Oh yeah.
And she liked the Void Ray, I think it is.
Okay.
Where he goes, "I will turn everything into dust, and then I'll destroy the dust."
Yeah. Yeah. Some of them have some pretty funny lines.
Yep. What have you done with your hair?
Yeah. Not to give it, that one NPC that is a robot that's on your ship?
A Rubit.
Yeah, a Rubit. You know that one NPC?
Yep.
Did you click through his dialogues?
I never summoned him.
No, I mean on the ship.
I've played through his actual dialogues. I've listened to maybe 1 or 2 of the side conversations if you let it sit, but I haven't really sat through it.
At one point, I sat through for like a good minute because he goes on and on about taking like the plot to Die Hard or the plot to some other like action movie and inserting Protoss characters into it and retailing events like that. And it was hysterical.
Okay.
It was hysterical. Because he's supposed to be regaling you with ancient battles and stuff, and he's like,
yeah.
This one time we had to go up to this tower and we knocked him off basically Die Hard. And the other time he was recounting, we had to chase a feral alien creature through the forest as the team was getting picked off one by one. I'm like, Predator, okay. And it was just really funny.
Interesting.
I clicked through it. I didn't pick it up right at first because he did some movies I just couldn't put together right away. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. These are plot points to movies, and it was hysterical.
It's like that joke the human does in World of Warcraft where he basically pitches a movie idea for Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
He goes, and we'll break it into 3 things. We'll call the first one the Fellowship of a Bracelet, the second one a couple of towers, and the third one will be called, Hey, the King is back.
It was good. But like this one was just like as if it was like actual Protoss.
Little battle.
Yeah, it was hysterical.
That's one of the things I love about them is all of the like joke things they throw in.
Yeah, I really like that about Blizzard. I like that they still have it even though they're part of Activision.
Yeah, and it's a shame that, personally, I think they should have skipped the Warcraft movie and have just made a full CG StarCraft movie.
Yeah, or if they were going to do a Warcraft first, I don't know the statistics if that is their more popular brand. Let's just pretend it is, because I'm, WoW and everything.
Yes.
If they did it as a full CGI like their cutscenes, it would have been amazing. Because their cutscene, like if you look at Warcraft 3 cutscene stuff and Frozen Throne and some World of Warcraft cutscenes, and you look at the orcs and stuff in there, they look triple better, at least 3 times better than the orcs in the Warcraft trailer for the movie.
The only thing is this better be a thing. Eventually, like, some of them must have, like, get the ancient armor of their people for the chosen warrior, and it better have the largest shoulder pads I have ever seen in my life.
Well, what's weird is you look at Warcraft, and then you look at the movie, and because it's not CGI, like, pure, you have you have real scale human beings next to hero scaled orcs, and it looks out of place a lot. Like when you look at the artwork and the in-game models and stuff for Warcraft, they're all hero scaled. They're all bigger and beefier, and the orcs are even bigger, but the humans don't look strangely out of place next to them. They still look human, but they look like, okay, that's everything that has a really hearty diet. That's what it looks like.
Everything has beefy arms.
Right, and that's how StarCraft does it for the humans, but whatever. But, like, because it's a live-action movie, kind of, sort of, you have normal humans, and they just look really out of place, even in armor, standing next to a half-naked orc who is, like, brutishly gigantic. Like, laughably so. Like they went... It's just weird, but after with Legacy of the Void, it made me want a StarCraft movie, and I hope that would happen. Also, Legacy of the Void made me go, this could make a really cool, like, MMO-style game. They'll never do it, but I'm looking at the way they did stuff like the Zealots and the way they did stuff for all those units. I'm like, this could totally work.
Like, did you know you can unlock dance moves for the characters?
Yeah, you get some...
I don't know how you activate them, but they're there.
I think it's /dance. I think you have to, like, select and then type type / and then dance, and the units that can dance will dance. They did that in Heroes of the Storm too. They have hero dances. I don't know if Warcraft 3 had it.
I don't know if Warcraft 3 had it. I know World of Warcraft has it.
Oh yeah, World of Warcraft has it. I don't know about Warcraft 3, but it's definitely started with the Warcraft brand. The
only thing I know is that you could actually port your World of Warcraft character into Warcraft 3.
What?
It's the same engine. So there is a way to make it where you can port your character into the World of Warcraft 3 game. And the portrait will look terrible, but when you zoom in, you'll actually see your sprite on the field.
Oh yeah, they do stuff like that in StarCraft 2's engine. It's basically a beefy. It's not the same as the Warcraft 3 engine, but there's a lot of similarities. Yeah. So like they resurrected multiplayer maps like X Hero Siege Defense or something like that, or X Siege Hero whatever, and it's all the Warcraft 3 heroes. So you got Tyrande and Illidan and everybody, and they're all done, but it looks a lot better because it's StarCraft 2 quality instead of Warcraft 3 quality. But
this isn't Warcraft. It's advanced. I know it's not in 3D.
Like, what's also really cool about the StarCraft engine is that people, especially when it first came out for StarCraft 2, and it's not as popular because it does really push your computer and the StarCraft engine to its limits, and it's a bit difficult. People made first-person shooters and stuff with the engine. That engine's really versatile.
Yes.
There used to be a whole StarCraft 2 engined StarCraft MMO.
Really?
And there still is kind of a following for it. I don't know how it works or what you would have to do, but it's all through it, and it's all through StarCraft's engine. It's a really versatile engine, but it's just crazy.
Now here's an interesting thing. To kind of switch gears a bit. Heard through the grapevine that they're to celebrate the new anniversary of Warmachine. Privateer Press is remodeling Danegra, the original Witchcaster.
Okay.
And it got me thinking about all these different characters and all that jazz, and that brought up an interesting question for me. When an anniversary hits, and they want to do a fancy model or something like that, would you rather it be a resculpt of an old model or a new model?
Representing the same character?
Well, no, just like in general. Like, would you rather them going, oh, hey, here's a resculpt of this old model for our anniversary, or would you rather, hey, here's a totally brand new character model just for the anniversary?
It depends. Like, I think, for example, the 40K Crimson Fist 25th anniversary thing, or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with the kind of rogue
I have
trader.
one of those.
Yeah, I still in the box for me. I haven't done anything with them. The retro looking thing. That was a really cool. Like, that was a really cool way, albeit a bit limiting because it's specifically Crimson Fist or Imperial Fist if you paint yellow.
That's
it was
why
still
I
really
cut
cool.
out all of the symbols off of that guy.
Right. He's still a really cool model and a really nice way to celebrate anniversary with a brand new thing. At the same time, if it's a particularly, let's say, popular character, I think a resculpt could be, especially if it's a popular character whose model is definitely showing his age. I'm looking at you, Abaddon, for example.
Yeah.
If they wanted to resculpt that I'm just using 40K models here just to contrast it. If that was like a resculpt, I think I would be on board with that, and so would a lot of people. Now, because I don't know Warhammer Horde's meta, I don't know how popular Denegra is. So I don't know.
Denegra's one of those. She's, as far as I'm aware, like I've been a little bit out of the Warmachine circuit, but as far as I'm aware, she's She's not a very popular warcaster because she's within the Crix thematic. She tends to be the weakest of all of them. Story plot, she's huge because she's the twin sister of one of Haley from Signar.
Okay. So
in the universe, she's a big deal. In the game, she's kind of meh.
Right. So I don't know how that will be received with the community. My other thing is, and I think I'm basing this more of my knowledge of how Jacks work and whatnot. Aren't you fairly limited with what they could do with her based on gear and stuff? Like in comparison to 40K, where you can just go crazy. You know what I mean?
With her, it's not even just that. It's that a lot of her abilities only favor certain units.
Right, but I mean, like posing like a resculpt how crazy could they go in Warmachine models? Because I do know, I think specifically with Jacks, because I don't play, like if the Jack has a cannon on the right arm has to be a cannon, right?
Yes.
Does that transfer over to Warcasters at all?
Well, Warcasters, they don't have gear or anything. They're just they're like, here's what they have. That's it.
Right, but I mean, like, you know, like you have a guy has a staff because his weapon thing, or whatever he's listed as having, you know, model wise. Like if they totally resculpt her with completely reinventing the wheel with her, that's not going to mess with anything rules wise for their game, right? Like it would be still totally usable.
No, it'd still be usable. But it actually is like the image that I saw. I'm going to see if I can find the article where the guy mentions that he's got the new sculpt for her. Let me see if I can find it. She basically looks exactly the same, just slightly posed differently.
See, that's a cop-out. If you're going to repose a model or resculpt a model, even if you want to keep a pose semi-similar, it should be like, for example, again, because I know these examples better, because Battletech doesn't really work for this. Abaddon. He looks like he looks shorter than regular Terminators, even though he's not really. He looks squatter. He looks more squarish. If they wanted to give him a similar posing that he has, but just resculpt the model, it would look way better because it would be a way newer sculpt, you know, more newer technology being used and everything. I feel if you're gonna, an anniversary model should be something special, and if it's a resculpt, that can still be special, but you need it to look special. And I don't know what they could do with Warmachine as a brand new, like, I don't know how they could do a brand new model, like for example that Crimson Fist guy, because you have a generic leader, or that could even be a sergeant. I don't know what they could do for Warmachine like that.
There's a couple of things they can do. They do make some of the armies have basically like for lack of a better word, leaders in training.
Okay.
Like, they're not full-on leaders. They could make just a new character, like a new journeyman, a new something or another.
Yeah, or like what they could do if they could make something for a particular faction that could theoretically work as a couple things, depending on like if you want to paint it more innate as a journeyman, or if you want to paint him more rank and file, looks like a more ornate shield guy or whatever.
Yep. Yeah.
Now,
Let's see. Now here it is. Finally. Now what it is it has something to do to pursue the scope as a school project, and then I got to work on it, and we'll see. Now, as a member of Pirate Press Studio, I am privy to upcoming projects and not too long. Notice that Wraith Witch Dynagora was high on the list of sculpts we would like to update, so I asked about taking on the project, though was sure that I'd get ready to fortune it. Okay, so it's an updated version of her old model.
okay.
Here's a pic of her new model. But it's basically the same, it's practically the same pose, just slightly different.
All right. I feel like if it's just if it's gonna be something for an anniversary, it should feel a bit more special. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But now you know what I was thinking about with Warma Hordes recently, and I guess you would have to extend this to the Horde side too. But I was thinking more on the Warmachine side. Now I don't know if they have this at all, but like a force, or for every force, a kind of build your own Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, instead of saying this is Death Jack, or this is Lancer Jack, if that's even a Jack, or this is...
that's the original model.
Or, like, this is Thunder, whatever, you know, all the different Jacks I don't know the name of. Like, instead of there was, like, a rule set, well, okay, Light Jack, Heavy Jack, or whatever, left arm is this, right arm is... Like, not build your own crazy, powerful engine of destruction, but, like, just something that you could build, you know, have it more personalized, maybe if you have a particular style that would complement better than a different Jack. I don't even know if it doesn't really seem like it's needed, knowing the limited stuff I know about this. But I was thinking it would be pretty cool to kind of be like, all right, so here are the rules and points-wise to build a Jack, and build the Jack how you want it for your forces.
Yeah. I don't know if it would fit well, and it would be definitely a cool idea, but I think personally that wouldn't be that's going a little too into a territory that they didn't want their game to go, because then people would start going, oh, it's just like 40K, I'm just building up a Jack instead of a tank or a character.
Well, I mean, I just think like the Jack and because I don't care about hordes, to be honest, but so the Jack because I don't even know what the horde equivalent is called. Monster?
A beast.
Beast.
It's just a beast.
Like, I just feel like, yeah, it will be radically different. I want to say radically because that implies really big, but it would be a departure kind of from what they got now. But I just feel like one of the things that was a strike against it for me, aside from some of the stuff I mentioned in previous podcasts, is it's it feels really cookie cutter, and for like certain things you could take, especially something that's a walking siege engine like that, in theory, you know, like a mini siege engine thing. And I guess looking at it as a world and not just as a game, I would think a military organization would go, you know what? Let's have a variety of Jacks to suit the situation. You know what I mean? Like, as opposed to just having, well, this Jack is like that Jack, and, you know, or we have one of these and that's about it. It'd be like, I would think, you know, what about a Jack that's gonna hang back as opposed to a Jack that's going to do? But I know they have a variety of Jacks to choose from, which is why kind of like it'd be more limiting. That's the
thing in their story arc. That's how they do it. Like, if you really look at a lot of the Jacks are the same. They just are they're built for different functionality. Like, actually, a defender is an ironclad where they took away his axe and gave him a cannon instead.
Right. Well, it's there. It's just that instead of making it, here's one Jack, you can build them in a different variety. They literally just built all the different varieties for you. Yeah, I can see that, but I could also, like, and I don't know how much this would change up things, like, for people complaining in, like, a tournament scene or whatever. But even something as simple as, I'm going to build this to actually cannons on the left arm instead of the right arm, you know? I don't know what that would change, if anything, but like just something as simple as that to give, because I have seen some stuff online with Warmachine where people want to do more uniqueness to their stuff, and it's, you know, what about my jacket? You know, I want to convert it to have a left-handed cannon. Well, you can't do that because it's a right-handed thing, you know? Yeah. I think that would be something, like just something as basic as a little bit more freedom and leeway, because as it stands, if you play Signar, you're painting it a certain way. Or if you want to go crazy, you could inverse the colors, but really you're painting it a certain way. You're playing Crix, you're playing a black-colored army because that's black and green and bone and all that. And so I have seen some people paint up to their own devices and made up a reason for it, which is very cool. I just think, I know for me, and I have to imagine there's some players out there who would be a bit more interested if there was a bit more ease of individuality to your army, so it stands out. So it's not like so what are you playing, Signar? What are you playing, Signar? Okay, so I'm going to initial the bottom of my models so we don't get them confused. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize the Horus Heresy Model Master Volume 1 is out.
Yeah. Anybody, even if you don't... Alright, they kind of are, they're not the cheapest books out there, but anything Model Masterclass from Forge World is worth picking up, even if you have no intention of playing with Forge World stuff or using it. I have Model Masterclass 1 and 2 just in general from Forge World. They're fantastic. They show some stuff for doing terrain. They show stuff... of course, it's all their product that they're showing painting and weathering effects and everything.
Yep.
But they go real in depth. They tell you how to use oil paints to do the weathering in the nooks and the crannies and what you can do with it. They show you how to use a number 2 pencil to just kind of rub it along the edges to show like war metal effect a little bit. They show you how to do powdering. They show you how to make your model look like it's lacquered, you know, which involves wet sand. Like Model 2 shows like their big Eldar Titan, and then they actually do like a wet sanding approach to give it a lacquered finish look. Like
interesting.
So I haven't really. I don't have. I would. That's one of the books on my list to get from Forge World, and it's all Forge World themed. But as far as a book that really does, and it does it well, you know, like sometimes you look at a how-to book and it's kind of like too many pictures and not enough explanation. Too much explanation with too little pictures to back it up. They do a good blend.
Usually, in my experience, it's either not enough pictures showing the different stages, or they show a whole bunch of pictures, but they don't tell you that. But all those pictures are not showing the stages they did in between the stages that they're showing.
Right, like with
so like,
like,
you know, it'd be like, okay, first we base coated the model red, then we added orange highlights, but there's clearly another color in between. Oh yeah, I did like some wet blending thing in between these two sets, but you don't need to worry about that. You'll still get the effect if you just these two. No, clearly I won't get that effect because I didn't do the step you did.
Right, and that's also kind of the problem with some with videos like, too.
Yep. I noticed that a lot in like the in-between White Dwarfs. Like, a lot of their paintings, I've noticed there are tons of, like, because I tried to figure out a painting, how they did something once, so I got to a person who actually knows how to paint. And I went, what exactly are they telling me to do here? And he goes, well, there were 2 steps that they skipped between step 1 and step 2 that I could tell from this picture. And I'm like, oh, great, so they're not even telling me what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's the issue with, like, third-party stuff as well out there, just like, you know, how to paint models. Whether it's a picture, whether it's a book or a video, sometimes it's not very clear in explaining the steps. And they kind of show you how they do certain camo effects and whatnot, but it's less with the books that I have, not this Horus Heresy one. It wasn't so much paint this model from start to finish. It was so much, now we're going to do effects on this model, and here's how you do camo with what we did, and here's how you make it look rugged and ragtag or whatever. It was just really cool. So their books are pretty cool. I definitely recommend them if you're really serious about painting up whatever models you may own. And they're like, again, if you're not a Games Workshop person, I could see just the morality issue for it. I don't want to support them in any way, shape, or form, but those books are really good, so I recommend them. I definitely recommend them.
Now, here's another interesting question for you.
Uh-huh.
So I saw Star Wars The Force Awakens again.
Uh-huh.
Because the Force was calling to me, so I had to let it in.
Oh, it was Awakened, so yeah.
I saw a trailer for the new movie, The Jungle Book.
Yes, I want to see that.
And I sat there going like, man, this already looks like they're trying to make up for that crappy Maleficent movie.
We don't talk about Maleficent.
I had to admit, I got chills when they cut to Ka and she says very casually, "You can trust in me." And I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's the line from the song that he sings.
And I mean, Scarlett Johansson, because I'm 99% sure that's her voice, has a really good voice for that.
Yep, and I never would have imagined, like, I'm so used to them making Ka a guy, and I'm like, you know what? A girl kind of makes more sense with the whole loving, embracing, breaking your bones until they turn to dust.
Yeah, it's a very good take on it, which I'm sure you're going to have, like, the militant feminist camp all up in an uproar because of the change.
Elena right here is yelling at me as she's squeezing my bones to dust like a loving python.
There you go. Now, whatever you like, first off, now picture that trailer showing, because I saw it in both instances, before or after the Warcraft trailer, and how bad does Warcraft look in comparison visually to the Jungle Book trailer? And
yes, it was Black Widow as Ka.
Yeah, but now, but what really caught me by surprise?
Do you know who's playing Shere Khan?
What caught me by surprise the first time I saw the trailer was when they did the laundry list of actors, and I was like, that's a star-studded cast right there.
Okay, Bill Murray is Baloo.
Oh, I called it the moment I saw that. I'm like, it has to be Bill Murray.
Ben Kingsley is Bagheera.
Okay.
Heimdall is Shere Khan.
Nice.
Let's see. Trying to see if I can.
But like how? But how
King
good
Louis
is that
is.
trailer look?
Oh, do you know who's playing King Louis?
Christopher Walken.
Yes. Why, hello there, Mowgli. Yo-ho, I wanna be just like you.
That, Fearless Gamers, is reason enough to see that movie.
Yes, see it because Christopher Walken is King Louis, the only character he should be playing.
But, like, it's, like, I got really, like, first off, the cartoon movie was great for Jungle Book.
It was good. I love that movie.
Yeah, and it's fun, and it got me thinking, like, I wonder if kids nowadays even, I don't know if they even are aware of the Jungle Book animated film.
Probably not. A lot of them are, but because parents keep it going.
All right, but which maybe kind of sad, because there's a lot of, like, those old school animated film things that are really cool. But I genuinely got excited for the Jungle Book. I didn't expect that to happen after the trailer was done.
When I first saw it, I was like, and then I started watching, and I was like, okay. Still haven't seen anything for Beauty and the Beast.
Right.
Or I think it's being called Beauty and the Beast. So let me see here.
Was there a question involved with the Jungle Book?
What I think there was at one point. There might have been a question about the Jungle Book, or maybe I just wanted to bring it up.
I forget if we play back the tape, if you said here's a question and or not, because we totally derail because of the cast. But
yes. Well, hey, Christopher Walken, we don't need to talk anymore. Christopher Walken is King Louis.
Fair enough.
But when do you think a movie remake is gone a little too far? Do you think
I'm gonna get it wrong.
Do you think when doing a remake you should introduce something new, like say the Maleficent idea, where it was the same story but we were learning it from a different character's point of view and trying to make it different, that way it wasn't just a remake, it was a reimagining? Or do you think that the huge crime is when you try and do a total note for note remake of an original?
This is a slippery slope, I feel, because, for example, I know it's not a remake, but it's a similar concept, book to movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you go word for word, page for page, exactly like the book, the movie is usually going to be terrible because a book doesn't read like a movie is watched.
Yes.
That's why, for example, Interview with the Vampire movie, I think was done really well.
I thought that was actually very well done.
No, I really enjoyed that movie. I recommend it to anybody who wants to see real vampires.
And in that sequence, there was like, you get that perfect argument. I heard, I listened to shows like, oh, the book is so much better. They cut out so many key points that are critical to the story and everything. And so I read the book and I was like, actually, everything they cut out, I'm glad they did because it would have made the movie boring.
Right. Now, with that specific example, because I read the book too, Anne Rice will describe the dewdrop coming off of a flower petal on the field of grass that they are standing on for no reason other than to describe it. So in one sense, she kind of really vividly paints a picture of the scene really well. On the other sense, you're bored to tears because you want the plot to move on. And she spent 3 pages describing the grass. So
it was very good that she participated in the script writing.
Right, that's why the other one was a Queen of Dan was so bad because
because they just made that because they needed to because they didn't want to try and refile for the patent.
Yeah, so with a remake of a movie, I feel like you said, you got remake. We are remaking the movie. Then you have reimagining. Which
is something Tim Burton did to get out of why everything didn't happen the way it did in the original Planet of the Apes.
Right. Or that's why you have, Tron Legacy, for example, is both a sequel and a reimagining of Tron.
Yep.
You can do stuff in that regard, where it was kind of like a remake because it was Tron for a new era, but it was also distinctly different because it was also building off the original Tron. That's kind of a unique example. But if you remake word for word, first off, chances are the original cast is not coming back for it, and if the original cast, you shouldn't try to emulate what other casts do. Some actors can't do that. Like, if you're gonna redo anything with Christopher Walken, that when he was in it, and you're gonna remake that movie, you can't cast somebody expecting him to pull off the Christopher Walken approach. You can't.
Yeah.
So you have to right then and there. It's not a carbon copy. It can't be, and you shouldn't try to do that because usually it comes off bad.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's a remake, not a reinventing. So I feel if you're gonna do a new retell the story, that's what a remake's basically doing in a sense, is retelling that story.
Mm-hmm.
You can't reinvent the wheel, and that is where you have the issue. I think for some things where it's kind of like they've gone too far in one direction, or they didn't go far enough in a direction. So I think more often than not, it's a time factor. I think there has to be a significant whatever the movie is determines how many years before a remake should even be considered. And with Spider-Man, you can do it whenever you want because they're always trying to reinvent that thing. But and that's okay. It's not Star Wars. Like we mentioned last podcast, I don't think. While I'll be all for remaking 4, 5, and 6 just to see what they could do with practical effects of modern technology and capability. As you said, and I tend to agree, it'll probably never get done, and it'll probably be hated for the sheer fact that you touched a masterpiece, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
So some movies may be out of that realm. I think, for example, some remakes are not needed. Point Break.
Point Break. Point Break is a good example of doing a remake wrong. And why I say that is because I don't know if anyone's seen any of the ad campaigns or anything, but the entire ad campaign for Point Break is it's better than the original.
That right there is a wrong campaign to make. And also when they say it's this generation, Point Break for this generation makes it sound like the original one can't do anything in an ad.
Yeah. It's like once you start trying to compare, I guess with me, if you're going to do a remake, make it a remake. Remake the story, not the movie. Like, I hate when remakes try to, like, perfectly recreate scenes from the original film, because then you're like, oh, so this is the director going, tell me that it's better, tell me that it's better, tell me that it's better, because they really want to say that they could have done that scene better, and they're really hoping you agree with them. But if you redo just the story, then it's like, oh, this is this guy's version of the movie story. And I feel you're opening yourself...
Point Break is not exactly shot for... I mean, it's more modernized. It's more extreme sports stuff and whatnot than what you had in the past. But you had Patrick Swayze, Keanu Reeves, and most importantly, you had Gary Busey, okay?
Yeah.
You can't get that charisma, dare I say, and chemistry in a remake because you need Gary Busey to be Gary Busey. Nobody else can Gary Busey like Gary Busey.
Yes, this is true. So,
and even if you're going to retell the story, you can't bash the original.
Yeah, which to me personally, if you do a carbon copy of a scene, you're bashing, because you're telling everyone, "Hey, my version's better."
Well, I think you can do a carbon copy of a scene, but your ad campaign can't say, if you like that crappy movie beforehand, check out this, golden
Totally
thing.
Agree with that one. That is also, like, you're just asking people to hate your movie.
Yeah, now don't get me wrong, I don't think, well, I enjoyed the original Point Break because it was silly, and it had a pure adrenaline edition, which is hilarious, but I can't imagine if there is, it's a very small pool of dedicated Point Break fans who are going to hate out of principle. I don't view Point Break as one of those movies, but you're absolutely right. If you're going to do a smear campaign as part of your ad campaign, even if it's kind of lighthearted smear, you're going to immediately tick off a fan base because fan bases are temperamental like that.
Yeah.
Point Break. Oh my God. I have a wargaming question for you.
Okay.
Well, more of a modeling question. Do you think that pewter is dead, long live the pewter models, and the fact that if a company wants to survive, they better get on the resin or plastic or 3D printed bandwagon? Or do you think a company could still produce pewter stuff and survive?
I feel that pewter isn't gone, but it has to. It has its place, to be honest. Like, I don't mind a pewter model at all, but there are certain models that I think shouldn't be made out of pewter.
Right.
A company that decides to go into pewter manufacturing, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think that it's just a choice, of what you think you're capable of creating and what's going to be the best material to use it out. Because technically, Infinity has all pewter models, and they're doing great right now.
Right. And the reason I bring this up is because, for example, Infinity, Ironwood Metals, they're pure pewter stuff.
Yep.
I imagine Infinity will transfer over once it's in their budget to do so. Because, for two reasons. Pewter used to be the way to go for detail.
Yep.
That is now 180. It's not that pewter isn't good detail. You can get good detail on pewter, but my God, the technology and plastic models today. The detail is ridiculous. I mean, it's definitely leaped way ahead of pewter. But the flip side is plastic technologies is very expensive to start up.
Yes,
so
plastic is very expensive.
I look at pewter in a sense, especially nowadays. Let's say Infinity was to start today, like as a brand new thing and come out. Me personally, I feel pewter is a stepping stone. Like, I feel if a company's coming out today, within the 10-year time period, for a company to survive or sink, there should be plans after that 10-year cycle to have a plastic range, not outright completely 100% replace it, but have a plastic range in the works. I feel personally because of for the sheer reasoning of price. Pewter models tend to cost a bit more. Weight alone for shipping into stores and everything. Weight by shipment is the killer.
Yeah.
So I think economically it makes sense. A higher detailed model that weighs less and we can ship 3 times the amount for the same shipping cost. Heck yeah. You know what I mean? But I just look at it as pewter was a thing. Just like pure lead was a thing that's gone, but that's more for like safety. But
yes.
But I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be less thrilled by a pewter range than a plastic or a resin range. And I feel like pewter can go to resin a lot easier. I feel like you can almost use the same molds for a resin model, almost, depending on how you do it. So wouldn't it be too crazy of a stretch to transfer that way? I just feel like pewter is the 90s, right? And we're past that. I like pewter, but I feel like it's now a bridging stone as opposed to an end result.
I say for me, the one turn off to pewter is it's harder to convert models. Like I purchased recently a spell singer, I think it's called, from the Wood Elf line.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going, first I'm like, gee, I hope the head is not attached, because that'll make my conversion project a lot easier.
Right.
And I was also hoping that it was made out of, weirdly enough, I actually was hoping it was made out of fine cast, because it would have been 10 times easier to scrape away all the detail.
Right.
Gets to me, and it's pewter, and it's all one piece.
Exactly.
And, okay, no big deal. I have a Dremel. I'll just put one of my, metal grinding bits on to get out of it. But it's a lot more annoying to file and drill out pewter than it is resin or plastic.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think, versions back in the day, of course there were, and maybe we've gotten soft with our love of plastic for conversion potential, but I mean the inherent bonuses are there, which is why we like it so much. But
yes,
I just feel like if you're like, okay, the way Warmer Hordes and 40K is, they're full on army games. Anybody who tells you differently is trying to sell you the wrong product.
Yeah, something
like that. Case in point, Sisters cannot be pewter anymore.
Yeah.
Too cost prohibitive. No. If you're gonna have a game where
$80 for a 5-person squad, seriously.
Right. Now if your army if you're a skirmish game driven type of thing and your entire force size is going to be upwards of 7 models max, $85, $90 for 7 models, is that steep? Oh yeah, that's steep. But that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a bit more doable that way, and I think that's kind of why Iron Wind still stays afloat, because their battle test model is like $12 a model, and they're pewter, but they're also not quite. The detail's okay, but you can definitely tell that these are older. It's older pewter tech than more modern pewter tech, but which is why it got me thinking between that and Infinity. Should Infinity grow in size, which happens to be the natural evolution progression of war games. One of the ways to get money out of your customers is to increase the size of the game, so they have to buy more models to play it. That's how Warmachine did it.
Yep.
I mean, it happens, and I feel like a skirmish game. The only other way a skirmish game can kind of fit is if you're going to have them, introduce new stuff every once in a while that they could take in place of other stuff. But why not do both and make it a bigger game?
Or at the very least, start getting into the terrain business. That way, okay, not everyone's buying new models because they have their whole army, but, ooh, we've never battled in a city before. Let's buy all the terrain we need to build a city board. Ooh, we never fought in a swamp. That's the only other way I could see a skirmish game staying the same size, is different aspects of the game that you could...
Right.
That you could evolve without it feeling like you're being ripped off.
Exactly, and what it can't do is it can't do the Magic the Gathering route, which is every 3 months your models are defunct, because that would not make sense.
Oh no, that would. We've seen how that worked out for GW.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's not like you could like your pariah models are still totally usable today.
Yeah, but it's the same deal though. Someone they make something, and the very first knee-jerk reaction, as you say, is, "What? My models are useless now."
Oh yeah, but that and the Magic the Gathering round are leagues apart, but the same knee-jerk reaction. Only one would definitely be legitimate. What do you mean my entire army is now useless to buy new models? But
yeah,
like rules wise, but a skirmish game, it's not progression would be to get more to your player base is being. Let's say you make a new specialist unit, right? So you get that new specialist unit, and it replaces something in your 7-man army, and then and then you build up 14 guys, but you're still playing 7.
Yep.
So you could do that, but then it's you could do both. You can have your cake and eat it too. They can buy the new stuff, and it's a bigger game, so they have to buy the new stuff to do that. Now let's be honest, and Fearless Gamers, feel free to share your experience with this. Shiny model syndrome is strong. Shiny model syndrome is strong in this hobby where you go, "Ooh, that looks cool, gotta buy it."
Yep.
And you bought it, and you go, "What am I going to do with this?" So, and you pay it up, and you're sitting there, and you barely ever use it sometimes. Like, I have a jump shot that I've used twice. Because I was like, this guy looks awesome, I gotta get it. And then I barely ever run the thing. But, so, there will always be those impulse buys, because, do you need the model? No, but you want it because it's cool.
Yep.
So, that's going to help, too.
Yes, and sadly Skype is starting to debunk us, and we're getting close to that time, so I think we shall end it here for the day.
Yes.
So, what do you guys think about remakes, reimaginings, and models and anniversary type things like that? And do you agree with what the wild card is proposed with skirmish-based games building up into bigger and bigger army forces? Do you think that's the most viable way of doing things, or do you think there's another way of keeping a skirmish game alive without building up the size of your force?
Right, and I fully agree that it's probably a different way, but I'm not in the business. Also, what is your most, I guess, notable in terms of cringeworthy or kind of hilarious shiny model syndrome buy?
Yes, let us know. I'll let you know mine next time.
Same here.
So, that is all for right now, and until next time, Fearless Gamers, this is Matt the Vet.
James the Wildcard.
Saying take care.
Peace.